The ultimate investment video for modern era sets. We're going to go all the way back to XY, cruise through to Sun and Moon, and Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. Sorry, Mega Evolution, the era isn't finished yet and there isn't enough sets to really compare it just yet. Now, let's talk through some rules of this ultimate investment ranking video. So, I'm going to work out what is the best era to invest in. So, XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. And by doing that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rank every single set from every single era. And whether it's a holiday set or a main booster box set, everything's going to be ranked. Then I'm going to work out the mean average of all the sets from the whole era to decide which has the highest average set out of every era, therefore making it the absolute best era. Going to be a long video. Well, not so much. I'm going to make it about 15 minutes long. We're going to summarize most sets pretty quickly. I will delve into some sets. I'm not going to talk through absolutely every set because we've got like 60 sets to talk through. So let's jump straight into it. XY era. Now, just to lay down a few rules, before I rank base set for XY era, how exactly did I come to the scoring? Now look, everyone's going to have their own little scoring piece, but these were my rules essentially. What makes a good set? Like, it's as simple as that. What makes an investable set is probably an even better question than what makes a good set. Because what makes an investable set is a set with really, really strong chase cards. That is so important. So basically, what are the top 10 hits like? What are the top 5 hits like? That's really important. Now that leads into another part. What is total set value? How good is the total set value? That is another very important scoring criteria. And moreover than that, what is the top hits worth in a PSA 10? That's also really, really important. And that really encompasses, to a lot of part, print run. Because XY base, for argument's sake, which I ranked to 6, let's move into it, and here's the reasoning behind it, is it's not because it's got lots of hits inside it. It's got a full art Blastoise, a full art Venusaur, and a full art Xerneas, and that's it. And as raw cards, they're not worth much. As a total set value, it's not all that strong. But because it was so short printed, there's such low populations for these cards in PSA 10s, they're worth so much as PSA 10s. That makes the box expensive. It makes it expensive because it's rare, it had a low print run, and it makes it expensive because if on the odd chance you pull one of those cards, send it off to grading, fresh out of the pack, and it grades a 10, you have made lots of money. All three of those cards are well north of $5,000 US in PSA 10s because they have PSA 10 populations sub 30. That's like a lot lower than a lot of the gold star populations we see. Now, I'm not saying they're super sought after cards, but you get my point. So they're the three scoring criteria really. What are the total hits like? What's the total set value like? And then what's the sort of scarcity of the box? Now, we all know the Pokemon Company tries to print to demand, but in some eras when, obviously demand for the hobby was super low, we got some super low printed product, and therefore they've become very rare with very high or very expensive PSA 10 cards like I just mentioned. So that's the scoring criteria. So that's why base set for XY achieves a 6. Moving ahead to Flashfire, we all know how good that is. There is 5 Charizard chase cards inside that. I've scored that a 9 out of 10. It also wasn't printed that much as well. The start of XY era, you'll notice, printing was very different then. We did have towards the end of XY era, which I'll mention when we get up to there, we did have, of course, the launch of Pokemon Go, which spurred a lot of printing along like XY evolutions. It also meant they backpedaled and went back and printed a few other sets like, Roaring Skies onwards. And you'll start to see higher PSA 10 populations because there is more supply of those cards in the market. But Flashfire, 9 out of 10, what a great set. Furious Fist, same thing as base set. I've scored it a 6 because it has a similar amount of chase cards in my opinion, a similar set value, and very expensive PSA 10s only because it's so short printed and there's such a difficult gem rate, but also a very low PSA 10 population. Phantom Forces is right up there with Flashfire in my opinion. Flashfire and Phantom Forces are the two best sets from XY era. This has Silver Dialga, it has 4 Gengar chase cards, and they're all worth good money. Primal Clash. Yes, 7.5 out of 10. Quite a strong set actually when you look at it, and same thing, some very expensive PSA 10 cards inside there. Double Crisis, hard to almost include this as a set because it's such a small set, but the two top tier chase cards from this are very, very strong. Some beautiful artwork. It was almost like our first look into alternate art cards in these two Double Crisis, the Groudon and the Kyogre, so I rate that 7 out of 10. Roaring Skies is where we started to see some sizable reprints and therefore some slightly higher PSA 10 numbers. Roaring Skies is still a great set. It's very Rayquaza based, of course, 7.5 out of 10. Ancient Origins, I scored 8 out of 10. This has Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, so some of the biggest, heaviest hitters you'll see inside there. I think it's a very, very solid set. What XY Era did, when it focused its set on one Pokemon, it really focused on that. Like Flashfire, 5 Charizards, Phantom Forces, 4 Gengars, like Ancient Origins, Roaring Skies, lots of Rayquazas. And same thing when we move into sets like Breakthrough and Breakpoint, which are more Mewtwo and Gyarados based sets. They're very, very heavy on those chase cards. Breakthrough and Breakpoint I scored as a 6.5 out of 10. Moving through to Generations, this was generational. I think this as a sealed investment is so strong and has proven itself in worth. I think it's a 9 out of 10. The chase cards from the Radiant collection are absolutely gorgeous. The artwork in this set is great, and rightly so. You can see what a Generations Elite Trainer Box goes for now. It goes for absolutely insane money. Fates Collide, I think, is one of the weaker sets from XY Era. I've scored it a 6 out of 10. And Steam Siege goes down as one of the worst sets in history, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad, I think, as people have always touted it as. It's also got a bit of a cult following maybe because of that, but I do still have to rank Steam Siege as a 3 out of 10. Now, speaking about reprints and what happens when we almost overflood the market with product is XY Evolutions. I think if it was any other era, maybe we wouldn't see what we've seen, but I'm going to have to score Evo 5 out of 10. It's great that we've had some throwback to, some base set cards. It's great that there's a nice Charizard chase card inside there as well. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the whole XY Era adds up to. We're going to save that for the end. You're probably doing some slight sums in your head going, well, there's 14 sets there and they average out roughly to be this, but let's leave that, I suppose, little bit of mystique until the end. Before we jump into Sun and Moon, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, which is, of course, the Collector app. Now, this is so good. Whether you're looking at XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, you can log on to all of them in the Collector app, just scroll through and see the top hits inside there. Moreover than that, you can just click population and see what the PSA 10 populations of these cards are and what their last sales on eBay were to see what their prices are. And you'll be very surprised with some of those XY Era cards that I was talking about. Now, also, before we jump into Sun and Moon, I did just want to talk about what you've got to do sometimes is zoom right out and go, because you get very stuck in where you're at. It's like we're at Mega Evolution, we've come out of Scarlet and Violet, and all you can think about are those cards. You get this recency bias towards cards. And when you actually zoom out and look, when was the printer turned up to 11? When was the printer turned on to 4? And already we can see it with the start of XY versus the end of XY. The prices for booster boxes at the start of XY are way more than the price of booster boxes at the end of XY. Why? Why XY? Because there was way less printing of them. And as a result, we saw more expensive chase cards and more expensive PSA 10s. And those factors are really important to take into place. And we can go, oh, well, Prismatic Evolution's a fantastic investment, which it is. But you've got to remember how much of it is on the market. Right, leading into Sun and Moon base set, I've scored a 3. Let's keep moving through these because we want to get through the year. As base set, I've scored a 3. There's really not many chase cards inside there. Guardians Rising, I've also scored a 3 because there's not many chase cards inside there at all. Burning Shadows, I've scored a 5. Only because how good that Charizard was, and is. It's worth a lot as a PSA 10. There's not much depth at all around Burning Shadows. I've shared my thoughts around Burning Shadows similarities, particularly when it launched to the newest set, Phantasmal Flames. I do think Phantasmal Flames Charizard is a way better chase card than Burning Shadows Charizard, but it also gems a 10 way easier. And again, zoom out there's going to be more Charizards coming. There could be better Charizards coming than Phantasmal Flames. And then it's stuck in this era of a 30 to 40,000 PSA 10 population Phantasmal Flames Charizard. What's going to happen to the price of it? I'm not throwing shade at it. I'm just speaking from an overarching perspective when we go back in time a little bit. Shining Legends, I've scored an 8. That is a beautiful set with some nice little shinies, and the big one, the Mewtwo. Any card that gets its own name is going to be good for generations to come. Crimson Invasion, one of the worst sets, well, probably the worst set of Sun and Moon era. I've scored it a 2. Ultra Prism, it's really nice to see a set focus on trainer cards and have some very strong chase cards when it comes to trainer cards. I've scored that a 7. Forbidden Light, quite weak. I've scored that a 5. Celestial Storm, Rayquaza, the Elite Trainer Box, the artwork on that, which is one up here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I've scored it a 7. Dragon Majesty, quite a weak set. Funnily enough, because of its somewhat short printing and whatnot, it's probably worth a little bit more than what it should be worth, but 5.5 out of 10. Here's where it starts to step up a little bit. Lost Thunder with the Rainbow Lugia, which is a strong chase card. I've scored that 7 out of 10. And here's where we start taking off. Team Up, you cannot deny it. It is a 10 out of 10 set. It has one of the strongest total set values. Well, actually, it has the strongest total set value out of every set on this list, from XY base through to Destined Rivals, or even Black Bolt, White Flare. Strongest set here by a mile. Unbroken Bonds, an 8 out of 10. Unified Minds, another great tag team set, 8.5 out of 10. And finally, Cosmic Eclipse, I don't think he's actually very far behind Team Up. I've scored that a 9.5 out of 10. So very, very strong finish to Sun and Moon era. Now, contrary to that, we had a very weak start to Sword and Shield era. Base set, I scored as a 3 out of 10. Rebel Clash, I've scored as a 2.5 out of 10. Darkness Ablaze, even worse than those two sets. I've scored that a 2 out of 10. There's just not much going on for Darkness Ablaze, is there? You could literally pull a master set, hypothetically, which I know is impossible, but you pull a master set out of the booster box, it's not even worth the price of the booster box. And the booster box isn't even that expensive. How bad is that? Like, Darkness Ablaze is one of the weakest sets we've seen in a very long time. Champion's Path, 2 very nice Charizards inside there that are worth quite good money raw and quite good money as PSA 10s. I've scored that a 4.5 out of 10. Vivid Voltage came out of the gates hot when it was launched, but lost its steam pretty quickly and sort of suffered almost from some overprinting, as did Darkness Ablaze. I've scored that a 3 out of 10. Shining Fates certainly didn't live up to Hidden Fates. Did I mention Hidden Fates before? I'm sure I did. 8 out of 10. It certainly didn't live up to Hidden Fates. I think it's half the set, maybe even less than that, but I've scored it a 4 out of 10. Battle Styles, I've also scored a 4 out of 10, although it probably could deserve a 4.5 or a 5. It's slightly stronger than people give it credit for. That Empoleon's a beautiful card. The Sleeping Tyranitar Alt Art. It is also the first set that introduced alternate arts during the Sword and Shield era. Chilling Reign, I've scored a 7.5 out of 10. That is a stunning set. You know, the Moltres, the Blaziken, I really like the Zapdos inside there. It's got really nice artwork and actually the most alternate art cards out of any Sword and Shield era set. Evolving Skies we're up to now. That is a 10 out of 10. And this is where, it was probably Chilling Reign onwards, where Sword and Shield really started to find its groove a little bit. Celebrations, I think the nostalgia factor comes into play a little bit here. 6.5 out of 10. Fusion Strike is definitely a solid 9 out of 10 because of how strong those top 5 cards are. Gengar, 2 Mews, Espeon, Celebi, very, very strong top 5. Of course, nowhere near as good as Evolving Skies, but it's still a solid 9 out of 10 for my eyes. And beautiful box art. Brilliant Stars, I've scored 7 out of 5. You've got an alternate art Charizard inside there and a very strong trainer gallery. You've got the strongest trainer gallery out of all trainer galleries. With Umbreon inside there, Mimikyu inside there, some beautiful trainer gallery cards. Astral Radiance, I've scored 6.5 out of 10. Some quite nice alternate arts in Beedrill and Machamp, so some original 151s, but on top of that, you've got 2 very strong trainer gallery cards north of $100 there with the Starmie and the Garchomp. Lost Origin, I've scored 8 out of 10. This is where Shinji Kanda went bang with one of the greatest artworks in the modern era, in my opinion, with that beautiful Giratina. Silver Tempest, I've scored 6.5 out of 10. There's really only 2 chase cards. I actually think it's quite on par with Astral. I mean, the top hit from Silver Tempest, the Lugia, is far stronger than the top hit from Astral Radiance, but there's just a slight bit more depth, particularly in the trainer gallery for Astral Radiance. And finally, what a big finish to Sword and Shield era. 9 out of 10 I've scored Crown Zenith. What a stunning, stunning set that is. Again, add them all up and work out an average. You might be doing that inside your head. And finally, we move on to Scarlet and Violet era. Base set is stronger than base set for Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. I've scored it a 3.5 out of 10. Paldea Evolved, again, Shinji Kanda comes in with the heat and gives us the beautiful Magikarp artwork there. I've scored Paldea Evolved a 7 out of 10. What could have made it better? You've heard me say this 100 times. If they gave Shinji Kanda the license to do a Gyarados SIR to complement the beautiful Magikarp on there. Moreover than that, I think if they'd given him a license, or not even him, sorry, if they'd made, you know, Pikachu an illustration rare, like a sleeping Pikachu, and then Raichu as a special illustration rare, there's just a couple of things that could have made Paldea Evolved a little bit better in my eyes. Obsidian Flames, I scored a 4 out of 10. Very nice Charizard artwork. Pull rates are quite easy, gem rates are quite difficult, not much chase cards, not a super strong total set value there. 151, I've scored 9.5 out of 10. It's a real shame we didn't get the Mew and the Mewtwo from the Japanese side transferred into English. It's also a shame we didn't get God Packs. It's also a shame we didn't get Master Ball Hollows, but that's all that's taking away from a 0.5 there. So I still think it's an extremely strong investment. Paradox Rift, I've scored 5 out of 10, as have I done with Temporal Forces. I think those two sets complement each other with their hits there. Squeezed in the middle of those is Paldean Fates, which is a very strong set. It's finally returned to form. I think it's nearly on par with Hidden Fates. I've scored an 8 out of 10. That Bubble Mew is gorgeous. Some of those baby shinies are starting to pump up in price quite high now that it's out of rotation. Twilight Masquerade, I've scored a 6 out of 10. I love that Greninja artwork. The SIR, that's one of my favorite SIRs from the whole Scarlet and Violet era. Moving along, we must be up to Shrouded Fable, one of the weakest sets from Scarlet and Violet. I've scored that a 4 out of 10. Stellar Crown, I've also scored a 4 out of 10. I just don't quite think the Bulbasaur and Squirtle, as nice as they are, can really hold up the set any more than a 4 out of 10. Surging Sparks, I've actually scored a 7. This has suffered from, you know, a bigger print run maybe than some of the other boxes from the Scarlet and Violet era, but you can't discredit how good the top 5 is. It's actually quite a strong set there. Prismatic Evolutions, I've scored a 10. We've got God Packs, we've got Master Ball Reverses, we've got all the Evolutions, we've got Shinji Kanda artwork thrown in there. What is not to like about Prismatic Evolutions? It's so strong, except it's been printed so heavily, but every time, demand just picks it up. 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Journey Together, I've given a 6. I think that's slightly stronger than people give it credit for. I've actually just bought myself a couple more Journey Together booster boxes. Destined Rivals, I've given 8.5 out of 10. It could have been a slight bit stronger than what it was. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but it's still very strong. 8.5 out of 10. The nostalgia factor comes into play there. Beautiful Mewtwo. We know how good it is. Black Bolt and White Flare, I've sneakily given them an 8. Like, every single Pokemon has an illustration rare or better. Like, how cool is that? Well, there we go. That's all XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet. Now, we're zooming out. We're zooming out of the eras, and we're going, how good are these eras as a whole? We're averaging them out. We're working out the mean. So total add up of all the scores divided by the number of sets in that era gives us an average. In 4th place, sadly, and it pains me to say this because the back half of Sword and Shield is so good, it's just because the front half is so weak, is 5.8 out of 10 average score for a set inside Sword and Shield era. 3rd place on the list, Scarlet and Violet era, 6.3 out of 10. I think we had a lot more mid-tier sets and a couple of really strong ones from Scarlet and Violet, mostly holiday sets with 151, Paldean Fates, and Prismatic Evolutions, and of course the Destined Rivals box, which has boosted it up. In 2nd place is Sun and Moon era, 6.4 out of 10, so just pipping Scarlet and Violet again with a super strong back half with those tag team sets. And finally in 1st place is XY era, averaging 6.9. Let me know your thoughts down below. What would you score these as eras out of 10? Remember, we factored in a lot of things here to work this out. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Michael, Pokeoz, and I'll catch everyone next time.